It's a happy day. It's a positive day. My name is Nati Gule. And of course, it's the 2024 Positivity Series. We're here to inspire. We're here to empower. And of course, we're here to grow you. I'm so excited. Today, we're kicking it off with a very, very important part of our life. As I've said, it's a happy day. So to be happy, you need to be mentally healthy. You need to work on your mind. Because once you've worked on your inner soul, it's very easy to work on your external soul or on your external circumstances. So today we have a fantastic guest, one of my favorite. I call him a rock star public speaker because he is always smiling on stage, gives out so much energy. And of course, he is one of the top 5 people I'd love to have coffee with. But today, he's a guest on the podcast. Siya Mabuza. How are you, my brother?
Oh, Mr. G. It's a beautiful day, sir. All is well. How are you doing?
Give some smile to the viewers as well and greet them.
Special greetings to all the viewers. This is your boy, Siya. Much appreciation, that is, for the privilege.
Oh my goodness. We have our topic for this today. It's going to be just looking at positivity in the mind for 2024, making sure that you've got the right frame of mind to be able to set those goals, to be able to excel at work, to be able to excel in your career and just generally in love, family, everything. So our expert here has a lot on his plate. I didn't see him carrying a notebook, but because he works on the psychology, he definitely has everything on his mind. Siya, if a child or your child or a family member was to be asked what you do for a living, what would the child say?
Well, the child would probably say he's an interesting lecturer who loves mental health. He likes playing around with people's minds. But most importantly, he enjoys changing perception. That's what a child would say.
Wow. If you change the way you look at things, the things you're looking at eventually change.
Man is never troubled by the problems he or she has. Man is always troubled by the perspective they have of their problems. So your problem is not a problem, but the perspective you have of the problem becomes the problem. Because your life will follow the direction of your most dominant thoughts. If you flood your thoughts with positivity, your perception will actually be positive. Because that is the trick is we don't see things as they are. We see things as we are. So our perception defines who we are. If we realign our perception, nothing should be hard for us.
That's already the first tip for reconditioning your mind for 2024. And of course, our people are sitting there saying, oh, finally, there's a psychologist here. Work on my mind. It's been a bad year. I want to start on a clean slate, rub everything from 2023 that was negative. Sure. What would you give as tips to just live a very positive-minded a year ahead?
Okay. First things first, Natis. For me, attitude is everything. If you want to build a house, make sure you secure your foundation. So for me, the most secured foundation is an attitude of gratitude. Yeah. It is okay to start the year with some kind of positive energy. You made it thus far. That is very, very important. If you are alive today, it has not been a joke. It has not been spaghetti. But here we are standing against the blows, against everything. We made it. So for me, an attitude of gratitude, take time to appreciate yourself. Take time to look back with an attitude of actually saying, I have been trying and I am who I am. So that will then force you to acknowledge and appreciate that if I have that attitude of gratitude, what's next for me? For me, you need to accept what has been so that you can embrace what is. So many times when we begin the year, we focus on the things we cannot change. And they by default change the things we can change.
but right there, Siya, there's this common phrase, gunengi and ngiwan.
Sure.
And then there's the other one, it says ngiyakowisha.
Sure.
These have become sort of anthems and mantras among many people. What would you say about the sort of language we speak to ourselves and our conditions?
Your mind believes more what you say to yourself than what your circumstance says to you. And unfortunately, human survival is inclined towards the principle that says your confession determines your possession. If you confess it, you possess it. If you confess failure, it becomes your hallmark. So we want to encourage people. There's nothing wrong with acknowledging what you are going through.
100%.
But we want to say your life is only 10% lokuning nalokungcwabelene. 90% is how you respond to it. So we always have that opportunity to say, what do you do about it? So that's where we come in now to actually say, kuningi kungcwabelene sharp, and then what do we do about it? That's where we want to say, let's accept kuningi kungcwabelene. That's our starting point. Before we go to believe you can overcome kuningi, every letter, alphabets begin with A. Let's accept where we are. Kulokuningi kwako nekungcwabelana kwako grand sharp. And then you want to say, kulokuningi lokungcwabelene, how can I stand on it to produce a better version of myself?
Okay.
Because human existence is all about what is it that I can do to make myself better. So lokuningi lokungcwabelene, if you perceive it the right way, you realize ukuthi sibuko sekukwenda ubone lihlakahle. So we want to say, in the dynamics of the many challenges, pick a lesson that will make you say, I am better in 2024.
But they're watching here. They're saying, yeah, nice words, nice big words, and you're making us feel good.
Sure.
Once the show is over, it's back to I haven't paid my rent. It's back to the baby mama doesn't want me to see my child. It's back to that girl doesn't want to date me because I'm broke. It's back to my car is still not working.
The summary of the reality.
Yes, it's back to that summary of the reality. I still can't get a job. How then do you break down all these 7 big things happening in your life that you've carried over from 2023?
Okay.
How then do you start working on each one of them until you can start, say, by March to say, you know what, I can see a bit of light?
So many times, Mr. G, people frustrate themselves focusing on progress versus on growth. We become frustrated thinking I've been at the same position, not being able to attain that. But you never focus on the positive things that have actually happened for you while you are stagnant. Reality for me says you can have a tree feed a whole generation, but in one position. The tree grew. The tree produced fruit. I may be broke, but I am actually thinking of strategies of how not to be broke again. So the most important thing is not losing essence of that desire to perform, to do, to become better. For me, that's very, very important. However, we want to say it's always important to focus what you focus on. Because our energy levels can never be diverse. Typical example, the mindset of a cat. Likati labone makunvane lang 5 lafuna kwabambong 5 kanye ligcina ngabambi ngisho linye ongayabaleka because nalithi libamba leli liyabaleka leli. So we want to say it is okay to prioritize. Take time to be honest with yourself. What matters the most right now? I am on survival mode, I am on pilot mode, but lokumcoka nyalo is for me dealing with this. So lelikumvane lelikati lakhona kubamba linye likunvane lalifake koneni ungakhanza uzilalamanya sayinga. So you want to have those targets to actually say ngiku January, and it's okay for me to eat cabbage. It's okay for me to not be a better and best version of myself, but I'm not losing sight of where I am going. But nagle ngifuna ukukusota nyalo. So you rearrange your priorities in terms of, let me deal with this, which may enable me to deal with that.
How would you say your environment plays a role in terms of you getting out of a certain situation, and what do you need to do? How do you identify the role of your environment? For example, you can be around people who are always negative and always saying, if you're thinking of going to get a job, they say, oh, security card, no. Yet you're seeing it as growth, not progress, but it's going to take you somewhere. How can people do that audit in terms of cutting off certain people?
The whole concept of starting somewhere. I think that's what matters. Never belittling small beginnings. That's the principle. But we want to say, Natiz, you're bringing a very beautiful concept of the environment. And I'm thinking to myself, are you talking about the internal environment or the external environment? Because if you are going internal, for me, if you don't have a battle within, you can never be overcome by the battle outside.
Okay.
But so long as you've got battles within, you are already defeated by the battle outside. But I think we are talking about the principle of influence now. Because your connection determines your collection. You spend time with 5 smart people, you may be the 6th smart person.
100%.
You spend time with 10 broke people, you may be the 11th broke person by March. So we want to say, by default, what you listen to, what you see, by default has that influence and impact of you becoming that. So we want to encourage people. There are certain voices in your environment that you need to intentionally reduce their volume.
100%. Yeah.
Because what they speak does not speak the language of not per se where you are going, even where you are. So you want to move away from those groups even on WhatsApp that do not feed into that aspiration that you have for the year. Because influence, the problem with influence is you never know that you are influenced until you are influenced.
Yeah.
So you spend time with a person, it's an honest conversation, but that person leaves you miserable.
100%.
You've already been influenced.
I've had
So we
plenty
want
of
to
those.
encourage people that be mindful of who says what in your environment. Then spend more time with the people who give you that positive energy. And
See, a lot you're saying speaks to strength.
sure.
It speaks to strength, and a lot of people. I know people are watching and they're saying, "Hey, this thing requires you to be bold and strong and to be able to cut off." How do you build that strength, and how do you win that battle internally? Because there's a lot happening.
Self-acceptance, Mr. G. I think the greatest battle we are all fighting as a generation is the fact that we are all a work in progress. And those we wish we were have actually accepted who they are. And the majority of people are in that phase of self-discovery, but they never embrace the version of who they are at a certain point. We have a challenge of so many people who've not accepted their uniqueness. And as a result, they are easily influenced by those who've accepted themselves.
Oh, yeah, 100%,
For me, it's a
yeah.
simple principle and concept that you are okay the way you are. There's no fault in you. Your mistakes come together to make you the beautiful person that you eventually become. The things you are ashamed of come together to make you the next miracle that this world needs. You know,
But in terms of resources, people are listening. Wow, I want to self-accept, but where do I start? Are there anything that you can just click and then read and then boom, you've self-accepted, like magic wand kind of vibe or something you can, or places you can visit?
Okay,
is there free counseling? Something that can, is there a program that can, you know what? I have a problem. I can't accept. I don't have self-acceptance. Is there something I can follow?
Okay. There's quite a number of platforms, Mr. G and our dear listener. But for me is we are a busy generation. We hardly have time for ourselves. For me, the starting point is have intentional meetings with yourself where you walk around yourself. Are you growing? What areas are stagnant? Which areas need attention? So that when you start reaching out for external help, you've already dealt with what you can do. Because
So is this a notebook kind of thing, or
it is
just in the
okay.
mind?
It is okay to actually have your own journal, if we may say, your own paper and pen. It could be even your phone. You just go to your Samsung Notes, you go to your iPhone Notes, where you just walk around yourself. What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What do I do well? What do I which areas need me to actually grow in? So that's you are actually mirroring, it's self-discovery, self-exposure. Then you will realize your gaps. It is the gap that will tell you which area will fill your area of need. Now, we have people who are, I don't know, we've got quite a number of life coaches in Eswatini. Mr. G, people can even access your services. But we also want to say, for some reason, let me market the National Psychiatric Referral Hospital today. Let me just do that intentionally.
But someone is saying like, hey.
Let me just market La City Connect Mental.
Yes.
Man, we've got exceptional and awesome professionals there. I promise you the best of the land. Psychotherapists, psychologists, psychiatric nurses, social workers, you can mention it, occupational therapists. You know, the psychiatric unit is divided into two segments. We have that aspect of just people whom I may say in quotes like you and me are not yet at that tertiary level of mental disorder, but they have challenges. So we have people who are strategically positioned to assist you in whatever challenge, whatever crossroads. Then we have that area where we now hospitalize people, where we admit our patients. So it's not entirely a funny farm where things are helter-skelter. You know, we have those offices.
I can attest, I do know a couple of people who've accessed and they have just said, you know what, I can see this problem and I need to speak to someone. But they've come out of those sessions and become 10 times better version. They've come out to make a lot of money. They've closed a lot of gaps in their lives that were holding them back. And yeah, it's real.
Sure.
And yeah, just before we conclude, I'd just like to know, it's resolution season.
Sure.
January, people are all over making New Year's resolutions. How there's something called the science of resolutions. How can you work on your mind to just be able to make sensible ones and also accept when you fall off, and yeah, just the psychology of resolutions.
Okay. Human beings can never survive without hope. The sole essence of resolutions is grounded on hope.
100%.
Because we are all prisoners of hope. You believe that girlfriend is still going to give you a chance. You still believe you'll find it. We are prisoners of hope. So the whole idea behind resolutions is have something that you are chasing for the year. That's the most important thing. Now, chasing something comes with one of two outcomes. But before we get to the outcomes, that's consequentialism, looking at the consequences. But we have the deontological aspect of it, the intention. Before we go to the consequences, let's embrace the intention. I have an intention to survive. I have an intention to become better. I have an intention to make my sphere better than it was before. That's the intention part of it. But you want to say your resolution can either give you a positive result or a negative result. We should never allow consequences to define us, but we should be continually defined by our responses to outcomes.
Great.
Success today in a resolution, success last year in a resolution does not guarantee success this year in a resolution. At the same time, failure in last year's resolution does not guarantee failure in today's resolution.
Yeah.
So how do we keep ourselves in check? Think of yourself writing a book. It has got chapters. We had a chapter called 2024. 2023. We are now starting a new chapter called 2024.
Yeah.
What do you want to start writing?
Yeah.
So you must have that picture of what you want to write. Then each day that passes by is a page in the book.
Lovely.
You flip the pages every single day. It may be a horrible page today, but I have tomorrow to open a new page and I'll start writing something better.
Just like novels, there's some boring
It's
pages
a journey
there.
of continuous self-readjustment, recheck, realignment. I encourage people, find an accountability buddy or partner. Somebody who will be a propeller more than a fire lighter.
Oh, yeah.
Because we're firelighters, those people who inspire us. But you need somebody who will check on you. Nati, you had said you will. Are you still?
I love it.
Then it gives you that oomph and drive to say, I'm going to keep on pushing.
I think you're just pushing very close to my last closing remark question to say, here's an audience, probably even South Africa and other countries, because we're on social media. They are listening and they're thinking, whoa, what 2-3 things can he say in closing remarks that I can take throughout the year for the rest of the 12 months? Here's the opportunity to just give them something that they can run with for the rest of the year.
I'm tempted to borrow from the wise words of a man called Solomon. He says, a living dog is better than a dead lion. So long as you are alive, you have tremendous potential. Actually, the people who stay with you have not yet met you.
Wow.
And if you can make a conscious decision to introduce yourself to the people, you could be shocked how amazing the world could be when we meet the actual you. And for me, the take-home message is, it is high time you stop being afraid of yourself. Our greatest fear is not that we're inadequate. We are amazing, that is.
Beyond measure.
Beyond measure. But we always ask ourselves, who am I to be the next superstar, the next star? In actual fact, who are you not to be? So our playing small does not make the world a better place. But when we soar ourselves and we release ourselves, when we allow our light to shine, we indirectly allow other people to let their light shine. I've never met you, but I will tell you for sure, I believe in you. You wouldn't be alive. You wouldn't have survived the storms you've gone through if there was nothing special about you. It's time to let the world embrace that.
Wow. I can't add any more except to say thank you so much, Sia. I don't know where they can find you if they want to interact with you and they feel like, I want to hear more.
We are hoping we'll eventually be accessible. But for now, that is, I think, point of privilege via you. If not that, we have an office in Babane, Babane campus at the University of Eswatini. So you just go there,
Dear
Some days
viewers,
an appointment, some days no appointment. You just show a face, we find a way.
dear viewers, do share any comments you'd like Asiya to address on the comment section. Do share, and also do share this positive news by pressing the share button. Thank you so much for joining this happy episode, one of my favorites so far. Thank you very much.